shot it.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh, well, hey, welcome to the show. It is September the 5th. In case you're wondering who you're listening to, this is the inaugural episode of Factory Sealed. We are starting up a new podcast here, Retro Gaming. Wouldn't you know, look at that. It's not Ben.
Oh,
Do you have, like, a
wasn't
soundboard?
Ben. No, that was my ringtone. Good old Final Fantasy Victory.
that's a good one.
I don't even remember where I was. Oh yeah,
We were talking about the inaugural show, Factory Sealed.
yes, the inaugural show, Factory Sealed, Manitank's
gaming.
new retro gaming / video game collecting podcast.
Right.
We
I'd
have
also like to add, it's the fans can vote on this, but I also like to add the Naked Pineapples retro gaming show.
oh yes, well that could
Or
be
Factory Sealed. That's what it was. It was the Naked Pineapples retro Factory Sealed. That's what
the
it
Naked
was.
Pineapple Retrocast.
Yeah, something like that. I like the Factory Sealed. I wanted that in there, but
Yeah.
since
See,
since I'm doing this in the nude, I figured it'd be good.
you're naked too?
I thought we were all
I
naked.
thought I was the only one.
Okay, good. We're all
Thank
naked.
God.
Fantastic. So, in case you don't recognize the sweet, sensual accent that is one Aaron Robison, some of you may remember him from our exploits at E3.
Yes, there was a lot of tins going on there.
A lot of tans. We're going to see how many
Tan.
tans we can get in on this first episode here.
I'll rate games 1 to 10.
We don't do
10 being the best.
Is it? Okay. Well, what if... anyway. Whatever. We got... Fucking shut up. We got Jess, too. She is a writer on Manitake. Some of you probably read her stuff before. Jess?
Yay.
That's
I don't know what to say.
That's it. That's how you're going
That's
to
it.
make your vocal introduction to our fan bases. Yay.
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 Oh,
So
there we
exciting.
go. A little bit better.
Well, we're supposed to
It's
have
gonna
a
get better.
We're supposed to have a 4-man crew here, but good old Ben Schrader cock blocking us today.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Ben.
Give him
I
a
don't
call.
know.
Give him a call.
Yeah.
Maybe he's working.
Dude, no, he's not. I've worked with Ben. I know that
He's
when a
having a
phone
bath.
call comes in, he answers it because that means he doesn't have to stand behind the register.
That's true.
Give him
That's
a-
true. He would. You
him
mean
a
to try
call.
calling him again?
Yeah, give him a call. See if he answers.
All right, man. He's going to be like, why is Aaron Robinson giving me a call 1,000 times? Doesn't he know I'm not interested?
Maybe he's naked too.
In
I'm
the
going to put it on
bath, that's what I'm
speaker,
saying.
so
Yeah, put it on speaker. We
maybe
gotta
you
hear
guys
this.
can hear.
Any bets on how many rings it goes?
2.5.
Wow.
What are we at now?
That's 3.
Get it up to the mic so we can hear him.
I'm trying to,
4?
man.
This is Ben. Sorry I missed your call. Just leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.
You son of a bitch.
A little doucher.
Gets
On
us.
the tone, please record your message.
Leave him
When you
a
have
leave him a
finished
nasty
recording,
message.
You may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Candyman, this is the last call I'm going to give you tonight. I really miss your voice. I'd like to talk to you, so we really want you on. So this is how we got you on, is by recording your voice from your voicemail. Thanks. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, that was sexy. I can tell you guys just spent a
Love
week
you.
together. You guys were just down in where was that? Texas?
Texas, yeah, San Antonio.
Tell us about what you're doing down there.
Oh, well, we had the GameStop Expo was happening at the same time as the store managers conference. So they flew
There's
us
two
all
different
down
things?
there. 2 different things, yeah, this year. There's normally it's the managers conference, that's all it is, and they put on like a little mini E3 for the store managers, all the vendors and publishers. This year, though, they opened up to the public, so you could actually buy a ticket to go to this expo or use your Power Up Rewards points to pay for your ticket and basically go in to have a little mini E3 where you see all the vendors and all the publishers and all that stuff and meet all the big wigs and get the chance to get hands-on the game.
Were there a lot of booze there compared to E3?
There was a lot more booze at this managers
Booze?
conference. And booze?
I heard booze. You said booze.
You did say booze.
Did you
No,
say
Eric,
booze?
you said booze.
Yeah, I know. 'Cause I'm
Booze?
wondering, did Aaron say booze?
Did you say boobs or booze originally?
Well, okay, let's cover these all in sequential order. Booths?
All right.
Were there booths?
Booths.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes or no?
yes, there
Yes
was
or no on the
quite a-
booths?
There was quite a lot of booths.
Okay.
with
Was
the TH
there
there.
booze?
There was a lot of booze.
And was there a lot of boobs?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a lot. Regardless of what you heard, it was there.
It was there.
Okay.
Yes.
I totally
It
thought you
was-
said sexpo earlier, so I'm glad this is working
Well,
out well
some
tonight.
nights could have turned into a sexpo.
Is that why you
Well,
guys
the
call
night.
good old Ben Candyman?
Candyman.
How did that start?
I really don't know. It was his call sign. We all had call signs that we had to use, and he ended up with Candyman, and we just ran with it.
What was yours? Applejack? Can't.
No, mine was Kildar.
Are you a brony?
Kildar.
Mine was kind of lame compared to everybody else's because mine actually had a meaning that nobody understood. So.
What was the name that you gave at E3 during the Moonshine Cast that we?
Oh, that was the Johnny Apple Basket.
Johnny Apple Basket. That's what it
Yes,
is.
The D&D character, the cleric, Johnny Apple Basket.
Wasn't he a professional level quilter?
Yes, he wore a quilted tunic.
Okay, so he wasn't
Because
a quilter
people-
per se, but he
No,
wore
but
quilted.
he wore a quilted tunic apparently. Yeah, that's only because people couldn't read my handwriting on my sheet. So, yeah, the good times, the good times.
Cute.
So is that why Ben's not here? Is he still recovering? When did you guys get back?
We got back last Thursday.
He's had
And,
plenty of time.
I know. I don't know what his deal is. I talked to him on Monday, and he said he was good to go. He just had to get his headset to work. But
God,
I don't know.
getting a hold of Ben is next to impossible.
right, he's been working out again. So now,
Oh Jesus! I
you
remember
know,
when I
he's
used to
hitting the
live
gym.
with Ben, and he'd be on his big workout kicks, and he'd try to drag me with him, and it was a bad idea because you know Ben, he's 3 times my size.
yeah.
But you're like pro star runner anyway.
Yeah, but running's
Yeah, but-
not the same as working out.
Right, and
That's
Ben's
true, I
like
hate
Ben's like an
running.
albino Lou Ferrigno. You know, that's, I said that before on another podcast, and that's really the best way to put it. You know, he's Hitler's wet dream.
I saw Lou Ferrigno in real life.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
you
pretty
were at the Fan Expo not too long ago.
Yes.
How's that?
It was very exciting. I was a little nervous walking by him. I was a little afraid for my
See,
life.
I saw him
Really?
at
That's such a nice guy.
I saw
Oh,
him
yeah,
at the
no,
Phoenix
he seemed
Comic Con
alright.
last spring, and that guy's fucking enormous.
Yeah, he is.
But
I was impressed with how large and in charge he still is.
see, I was standing in line to meet Jamie Bamber, and if you don't know who that is, the Apollo from Battlestar Galactica. And Lou Ferrigno's line was just on the other side, and there was nobody in his line, not a single person.
That's how it was with James Marsters. I waited for like an hour and a bit to see him because I'm an obsessive fangirl like that.
Isn't that the guy that did
And-
the voice of Commander Shepard?
He was Spike and Buffy, which is why I absolutely loved him. He did
Oh,
he
never
was
mind.
One
he was
video
he was
game?
he was Brainiac in Smallville.
yes, and he
Yes.
was in Caprica as well,
Right.
and in Torchwood.
I don't watch any of those shows.
The U.S. Torchwood, right? Not the UK one.
No, UK Torchwood.
Oh, he was okay. The good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he pretty much played the exact same character that he played in Buffy, but he had this like bisexual relationship with why can't I think of my words right now?
A goat,
main guy.
a deer.
Jack Harkins.
Oh.
Harkness, something.
So you stood in line for an hour and a half to meet this guy.
Yeah,
That's a bit
It's embarrassing.
That's a bit excessive.
we ended up talking about his face products that he uses.
And he openly talked about this stuff?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh yeah, like really interesting because I have sensitive skin, so I was really interested.
But
And I was
inside
about
you were
to
really
tell him
going,
that.
shut up, this is boring.
No, inside I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and I'm almost about to admit that I have sensitive skin to James Marsters, who is like the love of my life in high school, and then I was like, Jessica, shut up, don't make a fool of yourself.
Who is it that is that the person you told me that you went completely fangirl on? Or is that somebody
Yeah.
else?
Oh, I've done it a few times.
So,
Well-
did you actually go up and talk to Lou Ferrigno?
No. my focus was on James Marsters, but Lou Ferrigno was there, and I smiled, and then I was like, please.
I'm
don't
surprised he
kill me.
didn't charge you to smile at him. That guy charges for everything.
But a lot of people charge. Like, there weren't any free autographs or anything like
Well,
that.
not free autographs, but I walked up. There's another time. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember her name, but she was in Starship Troopers. She played Diz. Her line was completely empty, and I just walked up and said hi and took a picture with her and walked away. And Lou Ferrigno was charging $40 a picture and $40 for an autograph, and like he didn't even want people to come up and shake his hand. It's like, if you're not paying, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, see, I walked up. I waited an hour and a half because I don't do autographs. Like, I lose them. They're just silly dust collectors for me.
Yeah.
So I waited in line just to shake his hand, pretty much. But I did that with Sean Mayer from Firefly and Serenity.
Okay.
And I went up and talked to him because he didn't have anyone in his line. This was at Wizard World in the spring. And he was really cool about it. He was so pretty as well.
What's really cool is when you go up and meet those people, and then if you just see them walking around on the show floor, or if their line's empty and you go up and talk to them again, if they remember you. Because that's what happened. I saw Jamie Bamber walking around, and I just caught his attention and said, hey, and he stopped. He's like, oh, hey, you're Eric. Like, he remembered my name, too.
That's impressive.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, nicest guy I've ever met.
Right.
So,
we brought up standing in lines for an hour. I do have a funny story to tell you.
oh, dear.
The Oswald hats were
I think
at
that,
the expo.
I think the story of the Oswald hats was on the Moonshine Cast.
It was on the Moonshine Cast.
So our listeners didn't get to really hear about the wonders of the
Yeah.
Oswald hats.
I had to stand in the line for 4 hours, pretty much the last day of E3, to get Oswald hats for some friends. And
You missed out on some cool stuff too.
I did, but I got some good smiles, and that was worth it.
I suppose.
But I'm standing in line to get an autograph for a friend of mine by Kelly and some wrestler. I don't even know who she is, but I'm standing in line for that. And Ben walks up. Gets in the Oswald hat line and gets through and gets his hat in under 20 minutes, and then laughs at me while I'm still waiting in line.
This is at the
This
Managers
is at
Expo?
the GameStop Expo, yeah.
So you
Because,
stood. How long did you stand in line at the GameStop Expo to get Oswald hats?
I only stood in line for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
To get that, because when they weren't signing, they weren't doing personalized. But Spectre, he was signing the hats.
Okay.
Warren Spector was signing them, so he was there. But yeah, the line wasn't too long. But I just thought Ben was giving me so much funny because I spent 4 hours in line to get Oswald hats, and he went there in less than 15 minutes to get his. And it was like,
God. What did he do with his Oswald hat? Did he keep
I don't
it?
know.
Or was
He
it just like
wore
that point of, Ben is going to do something just to get under your skin because he can?
he may have. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he even has the hat I got because I sent it to his room because I didn't want to take it up to my room, and I never got it back. So chances are he's probably wearing it right now and doing funny stuff in it.
I was going to say, I don't know what he's doing in that hat.
God.
I don't want to know, to be honest.
True.
So, Jess, you also met up with Elias Tufexis and Michelle Boback.
Yes, they're like our best friends.
Are
I
they?
love them.
You guys BFFs?
Seriously, we're gonna. Yeah, I was saying we're gonna braid each other's hair.
You
have
and Elias?
sleepovers. Yep,
You and Elias are going to braid each other's hair?
his whole thick hair that he has on his head. Absolutely.
Nice.
No, probably not. But yeah, I chatted with them. They're super cool. There was a lot of really kind of thoughtful discussions happening in the panel that they were talking about the future of voice acting in video games.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really kind of cool listening to everyone talk about it because they're really promoting the idea that it's not primarily when video games like first kind of hit the scene with getting the more well-known voice actors. It was more of just the sound booth and that was it. And you were very disconnected from the other actors and the interactions and the scenes and who was doing the motion capturing as well.
Yeah.
You didn't have them in the same room or even in the same country sometimes. But now, because the actors are doing the motion capturing when they're saying their lines, you're seeing the more realistic images happening through the video game. So that was really cool.
Well, I think that's kind of an interesting point, too, because if anybody's seen those behind-the-scenes footage for what's the new Quantic Dream game, Beyond, with
Yeah,
Ellen
yeah.
Page, and she has all those
Yeah.
little BBs on her face, and the director is saying, do not worry about overacting. We'll pick up every subtle movement. And I think that's kind of a good point where it's saying that the voice acting is going to better fit the acting on screen because it's the same person doing both. Whereas you look at a lot of modern games now that are pretty heavy focus on motion capture and voice acting, but it's two different people doing it, and the person speaking may not have that same body movement when they say that particular line. So
Yeah, well, Voss in Far Cry, the voice actor Michael Mando was there, and oh my goodness, he scares me.
why?
He's intense and he's identical.
Really?
Like, absolutely identical. In looks, in just kind of his stature, that sort of thing. It was crazy. It was creepy how similar they were. Like the Ellen Page in Beyond.
Who's got the dog in the background?
That'd be me. They're back from their walk, and now they're playing.
Oh dear, we're gonna
So I
have
apologize.
No, it's fine. We're gonna have background noise.
Right. So that's
So,
really cool.
Fan Expo is a resounding success.
Yeah, I got to see James Marsden. No, I'm kidding. It was. I had a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Well, you haven't been to no E3, so
No,
Right.
I'm not that cool. Sorry.
hopefully next year we'll get a whole crew over
Yeah.
there. So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking really forward to it.
you're still planning on being a manager at GameStop next year, right?
Yeah, I plan on it.
Yeah.
Unless something else comes up. So,
Hopefully not. So,
yeah.
well, I guess the point of this show, we're still
Is-
kind of ironing stuff out, is we want to
Right.
focus on retro games because we know that a lot of people out there didn't grow up with the games that we all necessarily grew up with. I mean, just talking to
Right.
some people out there,
Because we're mature.
it's amazing how many people haven't played the original Marios or some of the old Super Nintendo RPGs and stuff like that. So,
Right. The good ones.
yes, the good ones.
I mean, the ones out now aren't as good. They're good. They're just not.
Don't even get me started. I would take an old JRPG over anything we've got nowadays, except for maybe
mean, we-
Skyrim.
I was
We do
going
have
to say.
Nino Cooney coming out soon.
Nino Cooney. Don't judge me. Matt still gives me shit about that game. And then everyone yells at me for judging games before I play them, and he's never played it. And he's judging the hell out of it.
That's right.
Oh, good old Eid. So,
Needs.
I don't know. I guess maybe we should just talk about what have you guys been playing lately? Just in general. Just like let's talk about some games.
Well, I'll start, I guess. I've been doing some Madden and some Skyrim.
The new Madden or like 1992 Madden?
I've been doing the new Madden, but I've gone back I've gone back to 99 Tiger Woods.
Ooh.
Tiger Woods 99.
Back or back?
Back. I've gone back to playing it.
I think my favorite Tiger Woods, and I haven't really been able to invest more than a couple hours in any of the ones since, was Tiger Woods 2004. I have no idea why, but it was one of those where my buddy and I were heading out to go golfing, and we got to the golf course, and it started raining. So we're like, fuck this. If we can't golf, we're going to go buy a golf game.
Right.
And '04 just happened to be out that year, and it just came out. And I think for the next 6 months, that's all we did was play Tiger
Yeah.
Woods 2004. And,
I preferred 05. 05 was...
'05 was for
Key for
chumps.
I'm not a sports game fan.
Neither am I.
Well, I have the only reason why I had Tiger Woods 99, the only reason why I got into the golf games, was that was the special one. Do you know what was special about Tiger Woods 99?
I feel
no.
like this is a test.
Yeah.
Failed.
It was before he
Don't
beat
gold
his
star.
wife.
Yeah, that's true. But,
That's
or
true.
Actually, it was before his wife beat him. But
And the hookers.
this was the developers put on a little hidden surprise, and it had the Spirit of Christmas, the very first South Park episode they made in college. They had hidden on there as a hidden file that you
Really?
could get from the computer. Yeah.
So you had to put the disc into your computer.
You had to put the disc in the computer, open it up, and then there'd be a little file in there that had the Spirit of Christmas embedded in the Tiger Woods disc, which they then pulled off of shelves as soon as it was discovered.
See, I was
That's
watching a show.
hilarious.
This is a complete side thought, but I was watching that. There's a show on Netflix called 6 Days to Air. Have you guys seen that?
I'm not,
No.
no.
It's if you have Netflix or access to that, it's fantastic. What it does is it chronicles the creation of one South Park episode from beginning to air date. And
Oh, yes, I have heard of this.
they
yes.
do everything in 6 days, from
Right.
concept to completion in 6 days. And they were talking about the spirit of Christmas. Matt Stone and Trey Parker were talking about it, how they did it in college. And that was back before they had the internet and stuff like that. And they circulated it around on a VHS, and it started popping up on the infant internet, as it was. And people were taking credit for it who didn't make it, and some people were using it as part of their resume and stuff like that. So it's interesting that would pop up on Tiger Woods. Did they have permission from them to do that?
I don't believe so. I think that's why another reason why they pulled it. But it was just a hidden file, and it's literally it's pretty bad quality. I mean, it's good quality for what it was, but at the same time, it was bad quality.
There was a lot of interesting Easter eggs on those old PS1 discs. I remember putting in the Tomb Raider 2 disc, and you could listen to the entire soundtrack if you put it into a CD player.
Oh, I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to go do that.
I guess from what I hear, a lot of PS1 games are like that. The sound files are just saved directly onto the CD as it is.
Oh, okay. I'll give that a shot. I will pull out my PS1 games that I have downstairs.
Speaking of soundtracks,
Uh-oh.
been working at a golf course lately because, I need
You rock.
money because I rock. And so I've
Teacher
been
by
driving
day,
around.
golf course manager by late afternoon.
And by manager, we mean Bev Cart Girl.
Nice.
So
Yeah, Bev
driving
Cart Girl,
around
you're
in
like
my
my
Bev
favorite
cart.
person.
I know, but I'm listening to the sounds of Skyrim.
As you're driving around.
Yes. So I feel like the coolest person ever.
Do you just have headphones in, or is it like speakers on the golf cart?
Headphones. But that would be incredible if there were speakers. Could you imagine?
And then every time you approach a golfing team, you need to switch it over to the battle theme.
I know. Well, sometimes I'm driving and then I hear like the battle music and I'm like, what's going on? Who's around me?
Or what's the typical tavern tune, the Baynard Mare one?
Oh, I love that one.
That's a good tune. I love the soundtrack, the Skyrim soundtrack.
And then I find when it's like the Dragonboard song, I start to drive really fast, or as fast as
Start
my
launching
little
over
golf
sand
cart
pits.
can take me. Yeah.
I give that story a 10.
Give it a 10. There's the first 10. That story gets a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I recently picked up Skyrim again too. It could be part insanity. It could be I'm bored from being unemployed, but
And you don't even have the Dawnguard expansion because you're on the PS3.
shut up.
Shut up. 2 against 1.
Yeah, Jess, you played on PS3, so there, we win.
Yeah, exactly. That's a touchy subject.
God, I think I had to have put 30 hours into that game in the past 5 days. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, you've been embarrassing. You didn't eat until like
I had a
I don't
huge
even know one
huge
day.
interview today at 1:30. Like, I'm talking big interview to be like a corporate web content specialist for a global company. And
wow.
at what was it, like 11:45, 12 o'clock, I'm still playing Skyrim, and I've got a 45-minute drive to the interview. Hadn't even put my pants on yet. I just got to get that. I got to get
I
100,000
believe
gold.
you were contemplating selling your armor at that point. So wardrobe was in consideration, I suppose.
It was. I was replicating my character on screen. But I got to say, being this is the retro podcast, have you guys played any of the original Elder Scrolls games, some of the older ones?
I have not.
The first one I played was Morrowind.
Well, I would consider that to be retro, because that was PS2, Xbox era.
Right. And and then the other ones were very much different, very much like the original Fallout games, where they were kind of like the isometric view dungeon crawlers.
Yeah.
My understanding.
What were they? It was Daggerfall, and what was the... why can't I think of the other one?
Daggerfall was the second one. I think the first one was just called The Elder Scrolls.
Was it?
I'm not sure.
I
but
know that
think so.
Daggerfall, not too long ago, went free to play. There was a website that you could play it, but there's a website you could download it from, but it doesn't work on Windows 7, so it was kind of counterproductive.
Right.
But I was thinking about it today. I pulled out some of my old games just to kind of refresh my memory, and looking back at Morrowind, man, when that game first came out, talk about just an absolutely revolutionary title.
Yep, I'd agree there. It was big.
It was one of my buddies. His parents went out and spent like $2,000 on a computer that could run that, And I remember going over to his house after school, and just like our whole goal in that game was to go through all of Morrowind and kill everyone. Because in that game, when somebody died, they stayed dead. It wasn't like the guards in Skyrim where you kill them and guess what, they're back. We spent like 3 weeks just killing as many people as we could, and then we looked up on the map, and it was like maybe a 50th of the map that we'd covered. You know, for being, what was that, 2003, 2002? That game was huge in scope.
Yeah, it was. It was huge. I remember killing Vivek, and then I couldn't play the game anymore.
You could kill Vivek?
Yeah.
I remember there being, in the very beginning, when you went from Seyda to the first castle, one of the castle guards gave you a quest where you had to go and kill somebody, but he gave you impunity, and this was just a complete side quest. So if you didn't finish his quest, you could have impunity to kill anyone the rest of the game without without the guards catching on to you.
Huh. I don't think I ever came across that guy.
I love old game glitches like that, because obviously they probably found that post-release and are like, oh shit, probably should have fixed that.
Yeah. They also had a lot of the random ones too. I think even in Oblivion and Skyrim, there was quests that even the developers didn't know you could get. You know what I mean? Like, because they were just thrown in random, so you could get it, but somebody else might not get it.
Really? I know that Todd Howard gave a name to that. It was like dynamic questing or something like that, where there's really no end to the game because the game will keep coming up with new quests.
Right. It just keeps going and going, and then the AI in the game, it'll change too depending on how you play. Like sometimes your horse will just stand there, and sometimes it'll attack. And most of my time, my horse runs away. You know, but yeah, it'll do
Horses
different
are
things.
also a touchy subject here.
Yeah, Jess doesn't appreciate my view on horses.
Like real horses or video game horses?
Video game horses.
Both.
I treat them like Kleenex.
He's an asshole.
They are
when it comes to horses.
expendable.
They are not. I even got so upset, and I'm totally ruining the retro feel of this. But I have a stray dog in Skyrim, and I lost it. It somehow disappeared when I went into a building and left a building, and I'm so upset now.
It was following you?
I cried too. Yeah, he'll hang out with you for a while, but you can lose him if you don't bring him with.
I think I killed him the second he started following me.
You would kill him.
That was a game glitch.
I'm sad now. I like that dog, but I was always afraid that as soon as someone would come by, I had to protect the dog.
Right, and your dog always died, so I'd had to restart.
Oh,
but
yeah. I almost had to reload.
But speaking of that, this is back in retro. Like in the old retro games, you died or you lost something, it was gone. You had to like play for another 2 hours to get back to that point.
Oh yeah, there was none of this.
There's only one save. There's only one save spot in the entire game that you have to go to, but you have to do 10 quests before you can get back to the.
Oh, this was back in Daggerdale.
No, this is back in this old RPGs, like in Nintendo days.
Oh yeah,
totally. Like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior, you'd only save in certain spots, so you'd have to go through the whole map and try to fight your way back. And you died on the way.
I started a playthrough of the original Red Faction a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people, I guess, don't know that Red Faction didn't start with Guerrilla 3 years ago. Like for some reason, everybody thinks that's the beginning of the series, when in fact there were 2 games that came out. One of them was almost a launch title for the PS2.
Yeah, Red Faction 2, I believe that one was.
Oh, Red Faction 2 sucked. Anyway, back to the good one. I'm not even going to acknowledge the existence of Red Faction 2. I would say, in my top 5 video game franchises of all time, Red Faction is in my top 5. I love that series for some reason, but it may be because the original Red Faction kind of like pushed me towards learning the new first-person shooter controls. You know, we all grew up with the buttons and the D-pad, and I remember being in Sam's Club when DualShock controllers came out. Like, they had this huge display up front. Like, what the hell is that thing? I want it. And nobody really knew how to use 2 joysticks at once, so I was transferring from N64 over to PS2, and for some reason it was just Red Faction that my buddy and I picked up, and I actually carried over the old control scheme to the new first-person shooter, where the left stick was move forward, move back, look left, look right, and then the right joystick was look up, look down, strafe left, strafe right. So it was this really goofy setting for, try setting that up in a modern first-person shooter, and it's just going to blow your mind. But that's how we played thousands of hours of GoldenEye back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But this Red Faction, back to the point, the original Red Faction, I played like an hour and a half of it, and I started getting really careless and killed myself, and it took me back to the title screen. And I was thinking, well, what the fuck just happened here? And then I remembered the game doesn't have an autosave feature. It doesn't even have save points. You have to manually go into the menu, press save, and then quit.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think gamers nowadays are kind of taking that.
Yeah.
They're taking autosave for granted, because how many times, especially in Skyrim, have you just been walking around and somebody comes, they're like, hey, we got to go, and you just turn the system off expecting to be right where you left off.
Right. And that's the thing. I played that Skyrim now where you play and you forget to go into a building, or you don't save for a couple hours because you're just wandering.
Yep.
And you die, and you're like, oh, crap.
Damn.
Or, you leave, and you're like, oh, man, I got to get to a save point or whatever. You can just easily save.
Yeah, that argument doesn't fly anymore. I remember playing the old Final Fantasy games when I got home from school, and Mom would yell down. She's like, hey, dinner time. I'm like, can't. Got to find a save point. 2 hours later, still looking for a save point.
Right.
Went through 3 boss battles. And
I think what helped that, I think it was Final Fantasy VII that allowed you to save during the fights. I don't think you could save in the previous games.
No, it wasn't Final Fantasy VII.
But was it 3 that allowed you to save during fights?
I don't think any of them allowed you to save during fights.
I know you could in 7, because I remember falling asleep during playing it for 36 hours straight when it first came out, and I would pause it during a fight scene.
You can pause it. I don't think you can save it.
No, I'm not talking save. I'm talking pausing. I probably said save
Oh,
by
just
accident.
Yeah, you can pause
yeah.
the boss battles. Yeah,
You can pause the fights.
Yeah,
and
but that's one of those things. You, as a kid, you didn't want to tell your parents, "Yeah, I'll just pause it."
Right. Exactly.
No,
but
can't.
The point was, yeah, you'd be on
But
there for
then
2
they
hours.
would threaten to turn it off.
Oh.
Like, that was the worst. And my mom did a few times. Just press the power button, and that was the absolute worst.
I have terrible memories of that. I went over to one of my friend's house for dinner quite often, and we'd always play the old N64 NFL Blitz. And dinner was ready, and we're like right in the middle of our best match ever. And his dad's like, "Hey, come on, we gotta, it's dinner time." And we're just like, "Give us one more second." And he just comes storming over, and he just punches the power off button. He's like, "We're eating now."
Oh,
Asshole.
Jerk.
But even, without having any saves, whatsoever. I remember having sleepovers with my friend, and we would stay up till, 3, it was a big deal staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning, just trying to get to, the higher levels in any of the Mario games, because...
Wait, the what games?
Shut up. I know I always say it
The
wrong.
what games?
I'm ignoring you.
I'm sorry. I think
So,
I
Aaron,
heard
how's it
Mario.
going?
oh, it's going pretty good, Jessica.
I'm pretty
Good,
sure I heard
there's
You
Mario.
like those Mario games?
Oh,
I do.
That's good.
I love them.
So, you remember,
Shut
I don't
your
know if our listeners remember the PS1. They probably might remember the PS2. But
the
there was a
PS1
time,
came out in 95.
95. But here's the deal. There was a time where you didn't need memory cards. That there was no such thing as a memory card.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's saved
So
on the cartridge.
It's saved on the cartridge. And I remember, I was one of those, this is going to make me look a little ignorant and a fool, but I remember going out and renting the PlayStation when Final Fantasy VII came out, and I got the game, and I played that game for literally 8 hours before I realized that I couldn't save without a memory card. So I spent the next hour and a half finding a memory card that I finally found at KB Games at the mall and get in there last one and then be able to save. But now there's hard drives and all that, but I don't remember how many had that problem before.
Whatever happened to renting consoles? I remember going into Blockbuster.
I loved that.
It was cheap. It was like, hey, $25, you can rent this console for a week.
Right.
Yeah.
$100 deposit.
Nowadays,
those.
nowadays there's no way in hell they would rent out a system.
No.
They come back broken.
Especially with the Xboxes with their 50% failure rate.
No, I remember when the PS2 came out, I knew I needed a memory card, but it was one of those things where it was either get the system and a game or get the system and a memory card, and what good is the system going to do me with just a memory card? So my grandma, it was a toss-up between Onimusha Warlords and Smuggler's Run for the launch title games. So she's like, well, tell me what each of these games are about. So I started with Smuggler's Run, which is one I really wanted. And I'm like, well, you're a guy in a dune buggy, and you take these packages from Mexico to America. She's like, is there drugs involved? Yes, Grandma, you're a drug smuggler. She's like, we're getting the other one. Until we got it home and she finds out that it's, you're some samurai warlord cutting people's heads off. She's like, I shouldn't have bought you any of this.
Thank you.
Thanks, my grandma bought me all my games. I remember going up to her house and I think I planted like 2 marigolds or something. She's like, oh, let's go to the store and get you a treat. She was expecting to buy me like a pack of baseball cards or something stupid like that. I walked out with Super Mario RPG.
I believe it's Mario.
I don't know of this Mario that you're talking about.
I believe he has a brother named Luigi.
Luigi.
It's true.
Luigi.
Yeah, I remember my grandparents is actually my grandma. She's the one who got me into gaming kind of hardcore.
Well, let's talk
into the RPGs,
because
she was playing
How
Final
did
Fantasy and all that.
How did we all get into gaming? Let's dive into that a little bit.
Well, let's let Jessica go first.
I was going to say, I feel like we should have like
Tell us about your Mario sleepovers.
my Mario sleepovers with
Would you all dress
They're
up
fun.
as Princess Peach and pretend that Mario's coming to slide down the flagpole and save you?
It's true. Tons of pillow fights.
Okay,
That's how it happened.
I can get behind the pillow fights.
Yeah.
No, not so much. I don't know. I guess like we had the original Nintendo at home is when I really started playing, because that was when we were young.
Right. Did you have the
I'm trying
track
to
and
go
field
back.
game with the mat? That's what got a lot of girls into it.
No, that we never had that. I remember we had like the big joystick one.
The big joystick
Oh,
or
yeah,
just the joystick?
The big like
The big one, the pad. I have that downstairs. What is that
Yeah.
thing called? It was called the...
Isn't it the arcade, like the one that looks like an arcade stick?
Yeah, the arcade
Yeah.
stick one, yeah. It had a name. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
The giant Nintendo pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
you know what?
that's the
By the time next
official
time,
name.
I'll have it up, because I think I'm gonna hook up my Nintendo up here, and I'm gonna play games as we do the thing next time.
Let's do it.
I feel like that would be a fun idea. But yeah, we had that at home, and I loved Dr. Mario.
Thank
Power
you.
Pad. I think it was called Power Pad.
No,
Yeah.
Was it?
And Duck Hunt. I loved Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I wish I could bust the old NES out and play Duck Hunt, but those guns don't
It
work
doesn't
on
work.
flat panel TVs.
They do not, no.
You have to have a good
First
old
world problems
CRT.
right here.
Is that all you played as a kid? And then it's like, boom, fast forward, Skyrim. That's where we're at.
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't sure if we were continuing.
Well, you're still
Well,
up.
you're still
You can't-
talking.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't leave us high and dry.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe she was saving some for later.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe I was.
We don't like to save. We just like to blow the load all right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. How's that working out for Christy?
You shush.
Yeah, okay. So continuing on my little journey. I went from NES to N64.
You skipped
We
an
didn't-
entire generation?
Yeah, I
Heathen.
did. Sorry. My parents didn't have money bags like your grandma did, apparently.
My grandma
So,
bought me
we had to
an
suck it up.
N64 and a PlayStation 1 on the same Christmas.
You're
You're a
spoiled.
bastard.
I was the coolest kid in school when we came back because they went around and everyone said, well, what'd you get for Christmas? And I raised my hand and I said, I got an N64. And everyone's like, yeah, I got one. And a PS1. And I was like, what?
That's why you had friends.
Yeah, that's probably the only reason why you had
That was the plan all along.
You shut up. I'm sorry, I didn't
know
mean
that's
to.
true.
I didn't.
That's
mean
how
to
I got my
interrupt.
friends. So you jumped to the N64,
I jumped to that.
and then
Then I took some gaming time off. I was a bit of,
You're a poser.
tried to become.
You're a gaming
I know.
poser.
so when did you get back? Where did you go after that? Did you go right to the Xbox or the PS3?
PS3.
Boom.
PS3.
Yeah.
Boom.
It was like the awkward time in high school where you're trying to be popular and have friends, and then realize that it's not going to work anyway. And then I went back to my geeky roots. No,
We went and had
that's
a
my story.
reunion with Mario.
Yep.
Welcome back. Mario missed you.
It's true. We're like BFFs.
Yeah.
I feel like my story is boring.
That's a good story.
You should tell that at
Not
parties.
really. Back to the slumber parties.
Get Elias over there, do some hair braiding.
It's true.
Yeah.
Cream soda. I've loved cream soda.
Ooh, cream soda's good.
Cream soda, really?
Yeah.
Really? You don't like cream soda?
It depends.
It depends on who makes the cream soda.
Yeah.
There are some poor beverage makers of cream
The
soda.
cream soda that's always in my
Crush.
grandma's fridge is not very good. Maybe because it's 15 years old, but
Do
Probably.
you guys have Crush?
I don't know if that's really cream soda, but
Ew.
wow.
and
So Aaron,
yes.
you as a little tot.
All right. Well, I'm gonna date myself here.
Oh dear.
I started my gaming on I think it might have been a Commodore 64.
Holy.
It was like a PC, looked like a little PC to me, like a desktop,
Oh yeah.
and played on that a lot. And then I got the ColecoVision.
Good old ColecoVision.
Yeah,
That's back when
played the heck out of
TVs
that.
used to have wood paneling, and they tried to make the
Oh.
console look like that.
Yep, I had the matching pair.
You were
and
cute.
You were balling.
I was doing the Donkey Kong and the Pong and the Defender and all that jazz.
You weren't kidding about the Pong then?
No, not at all.
Huh.
And I had the Coleco. That was the one that had it looked like a TV remote with like a steering wheel on it.
That was all the ColecoVisions,
Oh, yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think all of them had that, but some of them I had the actual controller too, like the pad, just the stick. And I've been playing that a lot. And then I believe it was '88 that my stepdad got the Nintendo, the actual NES system. We started doing the Punch Out and the Mario, and I kind of got into that really hardcore. All those games that came out then, like Sight Bike, Battletoads, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you name it, I played it. You know what I mean? Back to the Future.
I love the hockey game.
Oh, those were good back when you could fight too. That's when
And
you
their
could really
little
fight.
heads were just so fun.
All those sports games on the NES they were great in their time. You go back and try to play them now, and it's just painful.
Like Tecmo Bowl and Super Tecmo Bowl, which
Tecmo
are still
Bowl,
my
Super
favorite
Tecmo
football
Bowl,
games.
those are still good, but
But you play them now, and you're like, I only had 4 plays to choose from.
yeah. But I'm just, like the old ones called, they really put the think tank together on a lot of the titles and just called it NBA and NHL.
Yeah,
They really weren't looking for a lot of longevity in those titles.
right.
Versus
Yeah.
FIFA 12.
Yeah. So did you make any generational gaps?
They're not really. I guess I got the Super Nintendo shortly after that came out. And then it took me, I think it was '97 when I got the PlayStation. So it was about 2 years after that came out. And then I got the PS2 about 2 years after that one came out. And then
Were you one of those people that got the PlayStation 1 just for Final Fantasy?
yes.
Okay, you fall into that crowd.
I fall in the crowd, but then because that's what I played on the Super Nintendo, as I like the RPGs, and the N64 I didn't get for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure why. I think it was because Final Fantasy wasn't out of the games I wanted to play,
Yeah.
and I know that was when they introduced the first-person shooters with GoldenEye, and I tried playing it, and I didn't like it. I did not like that controller. I liked the Nintendo controller, which they replicated on the Sony.
Yeah.
Which I thought they did. And the Nintendo got that weird spaceship-looking thing, and I just never could get into it.
The N64 controller?
Yeah, that and even the GameCube controller is kind of goofy.
Well, because it had
Yeah.
all those grooves around the outside of the joystick that everything was really angular.
Right, and then there was like 3 spots, so there's really 2 ways to hold the controller depending on which game you're playing, and I don't know, I just wasn't very fond of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was
then I
back
jumped
when you made a good point. That was back when games or consoles actually had different games, and you bought a console based on the games that you enjoyed playing.
Right.
Now there's really
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what console you buy, with the exception of maybe 2 games.
Bethesda.
Yeah. Do you want Halo, or do you want, I guess you can't even say Final Fantasy now because those are on all systems.
Right, but like, yeah, that's what it was. And then I thought, well, I really thought it was funny too because the PlayStation, I thought always made me laugh because it's not a Sony system. Yamaha designed that system and they couldn't sell it, so they gave it to Sony because they thought Sony could sell it.
And sell it they did.
They sold the crap out of it. That's what they did.
See, I think honestly.
But then,
oh, go ahead.
And then, but also too was the point on the reason why the Sony did so much better than I think Nintendo was Nintendo still put their seal of approval on all their games. When I went to buy a Nintendo game, I knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Like I might not like it, but it was going to be a good game and well designed. When the Sony came out, they let anybody make a game.
Yeah.
So you would get a game and it would just be crap. The graphics would be terrible, the plot lines would be bad, the controls would be terrible.
But it was in 3D.
But it was in 3D and it looked cool, but it wasn't that good of a game. Whereas Nintendo had quality games. I can't think of one bad game on the N64.
Oh, Superman 64.
Well,
Quest 64.
That's a Superman game. Those are all terrible.
Okay.
But you know what I mean?
Like the core games.
There's some bad, but the core ones,
Yeah, the core first-party Nintendo
good.
games are all pretty good.
Even the core, core Sony was good. Core Xbox is good. 'Cause those are the ones that they put their money into.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it goes off. And now, like the Wii, for example, oh my God, they just let anybody put something out there. And that thing, of course, tanked.
Welcome to shovelware.
That way. So, but that was the big thing about Nintendo. Nintendo put that quality seal and they wouldn't let people just make a game to put it on the system. That's what I liked about them.
I think honestly, for me, the very first game I remember playing, and maybe this is why I have such an affinity for the series, but the first game I ever remember playing is the original Final Fantasy. My uncle, who was really huge into games back then, he was playing like a lot of that track and field / Duck Hunt 1 with the pad and everything, and I remember him playing that, but then he bought Final Fantasy when it came out, and I was super, super young. And
right.
I just remember sitting and watching him playing that game for hours, and I was just fascinated by it. So I started playing NES, and I was kind of young by the time I started forming cognitive thought where I can remember gaming. But
you still haven't reached that point.
No, I certainly have not. There's still entire months in the calendar that are just black holes. But I don't know. I remember getting the gold cartridge NES for Zelda. It was either the first Zelda or Link, which I don't have anymore. I don't know what happened to that. But after that, I went to Super Nintendo, the best system pretty much ever.
Well, I have money. I could get that system.
Hey. I just had really nice grandparents. I don't know how I ended up with a Sega Genesis somehow and a 32X. Never really had any games for it, but I think I had like Mutant League Football and Doom 32X and stuff like that. But I played very, very little Sega Genesis. Had one. Don't know why I had one. But then got the N64 and the PlayStation. And it's kind of a funny story. When the N64 first came out, the Mario 64 is a launch title for that, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
For the N64, yep.
My parents bought me that, and I ended up taking back Mario 64 and getting Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey. So the first time I put that in, I was like, boy, this is a bad idea. And I was watching how much fun all my friends were having with Mario 64, and I'm stuck with hockey. And pretty much since then, I've made a point of buying every system that's come out. Might not have been at launch, but
it's worth having. It took me a while. Like I didn't get the Xbox at all, and I got the Xbox 360, and then I eventually got a PS3 once the price dropped and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many good games out there you can try to play. Because they're different.
Well, hopefully in future shows we can kind of start diving into what we used to play, what we liked, what we didn't like. But I did put a message out for people if they want to send us questions. factorysealed@manatank.com. We're going to answer your questions. We actually do have a couple questions here if you guys got some time for them.
Yeah, let's get through these.
We got one from Double D Dinner Dangles.
Oh my gosh.
Good old Kevin from the Manatank podcast. He wants to.
All right.
I'll just give us a shout out. he says some classic games from back in the day have been remade for Nintendo DS as well as PS2. All the Final Fantasy games for one, and the Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior series also. Are there any game series that we want to see remade as perhaps Xbox Live or PlayStation Store games? He says that he would pay fat cash for Super Mario 3 on his PS3, but obviously that's not going to happen. So he wants to know, are there any series that we want to see remade? They've done a little bit of that with the Oddworld series. They redid Oddworld Stranger's Wrath for XBLA and PlayStation Store. So what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like whenever a game gets redone for the majority of the time, it kind of kills it.
You think so?
I semi-agree with that. I think because they take away the memory
Well, yeah,
of
they
the
take
playing
away
the
the
game
nostalgic
originally.
value of it, but
Yeah, and the nostalgia value, and then sometimes they can't get away with something they were able to before.
yeah. Well,
Like,
I don't know. I guess us being
People want Final Fantasy VII remade.
yeah, I'll never cave to
I
that.
would, I would just they just need to do all the cutscenes and that CGI and give it to me.
Yeah.
I don't need to play the game again, but I would love to watch all like the scenes and the story
Yeah.
in a better, higher resolution. That's all I would need.
I think I'm going to substitute the word remade for rebooted. Did you guys ever play the old Rock and Roll Racing game on Super Nintendo?
Rock and Roll Racing
Yeah,
game?
Rock
I
and
don't
Roll
remember
Racing.
that one.
It was
Oh, yes, I do remember. That was part of the Cruising series, wasn't it? Or was that a different series?
no, this is a different series. It's kind of that
Okay.
top-down, like triangular isometric view where you are just racing around the track and you've got different upgrades, missiles, rockets, landmines, oil slicks, stuff like that, and then you progress through these different planets and they get progressively harder. But I would love to see that game either just redone in high res or like reboot that series.
Right.
That or Mutant League Football.
I would like to see Faxanadu.
You were telling me about that. I saw that the other day. I was at a retro store and I saw the original NES cartridge of Faxanadu for like $4.
That's a good deal. Should have bought it.
I should have.
You know what? Tell you what. Next time, I'm planning on hooking it up because I'm going to play it again. I tried playing it recently after I got it. Somebody gave it to me as a gift finally. And the game is a lot harder than I remember.
Well, going back to any of those
All those
NES,
games are a lot harder than I remember.
like Star Tropics and stuff like that, those are super difficult
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, because they're like the side-scrolling platformers, and the bad guys can move in more than one direction.
Oh, this is Faxanadu?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Iron Sword back in the day. Like the Iron Sword was a great series back in the Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that was another one where you could only go up, down, left, or right, and you could jump. But the bad guys could go in any direction. You know, it's almost like Geometry Wars. The way you have to play those games, you really have to time where you're going to move your person to
See,
to avoid being hit.
I miss that about old games like Mega Man. It was hard because it was a well-designed, difficult game. It wasn't hard because it just threw wave after wave after wave of enemy at
Right?
you.
No,
Yeah.
that was a thinker game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strategy of when to go, where to time. Yeah. I'm agreeing.
Mega Man. So those are such good games.
Jess, any games you want to see rebooted?
I'm trying to think, but I honestly am kind of stuck in the fact that I think it might be like a nostalgic thing where when they do remake or reboot the game, it sometimes takes away some of the, I kind of sound like a hipster, but it takes away some of the aspect that made it unique in the first place.
Well, I agree with that too, but you got to think in the aspect of people who haven't played these games and may not have the facility to play them. You know,
That's
because
true.
going out and getting an old NES and finding an old copy and then making sure it works and getting all this shit hooked up, you know, sometimes it just might not be feasible for them aside from emulators and stuff like that.
Right, but that's the other thing too. I think just not even rebooting it and coming out with a new game, but just making it available to play now.
yeah.
Like put it on Xbox Live Arcade, put it on the PlayStation Store or the Wii Chop channel, you know, and the DS Chop channel. Putting it out that way, so you're not changing anything about it. That's what I think would be really cool too, just to play it over again.
Well, I think that's what made the
that'd be
game
really
so
neat.
good, though, too, is back in the day. This kind of leads into the next question, but back in the day, the game was great because of the system you were playing it on. You know, if you try to up it to a new system with different controls and different style and different graphics, it really points out a lot of the flaws that the system had.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's true too.
our next question comes from David, who didn't leave a last name. He says, I always hear about how Nintendo was so good back in the day. He wants to know, what were their games like when they first came out? So I'm assuming he's talking about like the hype behind it, because back when Nintendo was in their prime, internet really wasn't it wasn't there to help build the hype. So he wants to know what the games were like, because I guess all of us grew up on Nintendo systems.
Yeah. I think it's just funny now looking at, like, when a new title comes out, I think within, like, the first few hours, you see wikis come up, or
even minutes
cheat
after the
pages,
game is
or
announced. It still could
Yeah.
be 2 years down the road, but people are already writing about it. Look at our site. We're covering stuff that people are saying about games that won't be out for 3 years.
yeah, it's just so weird. And I just remember, like, the books that you used to get with the game too.
Oh yeah.
If
Oh yeah, back when the booklets in it actually meant something.
yeah,
They printed on
Not
nice
just-
paper. They had pictures and color. I remember getting Nintendo Power, and they would occasionally put teasers out of new games coming out. They didn't put a release date. So for the next month, you'd go to the store as often as your parents would let you, and you'd go to the Nintendo aisle or the game aisle, and like, new game out, no. And then when you finally see it on the shelf, it's like your head just explodes with excitement, and then you come crashing back to reality like, fuck, now I got to get my parents to buy this for me.
your grandma.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about this too, guys, people how they're not bought. Right now, their games are $59.99. Those games on Nintendo were still $49.99.
You got to account for inflation. So back in the 80s, $49.99
Yeah.
had to have been damn near $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was spendy. It was hard to get the new games. You have to wait for them to go on sale or find them at like the.
Well, there was no
know,
standardized pricing either. I remember Super Mario RPG was $69.99, and then another game came out and it was $29.99. There was no standard release.
Right.
They could have been the exact same quality of game, but developers and publishers just got to choose what they wanted to charge. So
Yeah.
I think to kind of answer his question, I think there was a lot more excitement about video games back then, because
Right.
you didn't have. I feel like right now we're a little spoiled with all the information. It's like this instant gratification. Hey, you want to know about the new Dishonored game coming out? Just type in Dishonored, and 3 seconds later you've got more information than you can handle.
Yeah, and also they're that too. That big part of it too. Nobody's giving you away any spoilers. But
Yeah.
going from the Commodore, the Atari to the Nintendo, it was just much brighter. There was more color.
Yep.
And then there was just more storyline they could write in. Like, in the other games, it's very, like... you guys remember the movie Big?
Yes.
Okay, you know when he's playing his wizard game,
Yep.
and he's telling everything what to do, and it was just that, and then they would just show a little scene. That's kind of what games were like before the Nintendo, where now you're seeing it at the same time happening. You're making those choices.
Yeah.
You're not having to type in a command and then see it happen. You're actually hitting a button and it's happening right away. So that was a really cool feature that other games didn't have. Even because the only competitor Nintendo had was the Sega, and there was a huge gap between there too.
I never really felt like there was much excitement surrounding new Sega games. Like, even when the new Sonic games came out, it was just kind of like, all right, there's a new Sonic game.
Right, it was just new Sonic, and that was another one where they had their own games. Like, you'd only get Altered Beast on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it on the Nintendo.
Or but with Nintendo, you'd go to school and sit around the lunch table. At least the friends I surrounded myself with, that's all we talked was like, hey, what new games have you found that are good?
Right.
And that's we would trade games back then, because games are so expensive, and a lot of people.
Right. And game rental, the video places like your mom and pop shops that rent videos, or Blockbuster back in the day. That's where you went to get all the games.
Yeah.
And each one would have certain ones that other ones wouldn't have. So that's how you would get a chance to play those other ones.
Yep. None of this digital distribution stuff. It's just, I'm sure that's all stuff that we're going to cover in future episodes. But, I feel like a lot of, I kind of feel sorry for kids that are growing up in modern gaming, because they're getting just tossed into it now. They didn't really get to see it evolve. And I'm not saying that by any means I've been around since the beginning of gaming, because I really jumped in around Super Nintendo, and I missed out on Atari and ColecoVision and the NES era. But
And it's to the point now where you can't. It's going to be hard to miss a gaming generation.
Yeah.
Like now, like if we didn't get Xbox and we stopped gaming for 3 years, and like the next system came out, or maybe the one after that, we'd probably have no clue what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how does this work? What do I need?
See, I grew up playing games with my
know.
mom. She would play Super Nintendo games all the time. She was really good, but now she didn't play anything after N64. You know, she skipped the PS2, PS1 era, and she's getting back into PS3 stuff, but it's really difficult for her. So just imagine somebody who's went from PS2 to the next generation. You know, stuff like it's the big leaps and bounds.
I like the simplicity of the old games.
Yeah.
I think
now-
that's what like a lot of families played together because it was simple.
Yeah.
And nowadays you don't see.
Well,
Yeah.
and that was it. You wanted people to come over and play games. Nowadays, now they don't even make games you can play on the same couch anymore. You have to have your own game at your friend's house, and you have to play online. I think that's just dumb.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm bitter about that.
That's fine. We do have another email, but I'm going to save it for the next episode when Ben's here, because I feel like he can offer a lot of insight, because not many people know that Ben is what I would consider a video game hoarder. Have you seen his collection, Aaron?
I've not seen it, but I want to talk about this. I gave him a good gift at the managers conference this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because he collects all the video games. He has to get all the new stuff, whether he plays it or not. He has to have it.
Yeah.
And he has an iPad, and I ended up winning an iCade. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, isn't it one of those things you put your iPad in? And it's got,
you
like,
put your
the buttons
iPad
and
in. It
joystick?
has all those games, like a little arcade game.
Uh-huh.
You know, the whole system. I gave him that. That's like a $200 thing or something like that. So I was hoping he would talk about that on the call, but he didn't show up. What a bum.
Well, we'll have to
What a jerk.
bookmark it, because one of our readers, Vic Mees, wants to know, like, if we buy only games new in box, what type of collector we are, stuff like that. So we're going to cover that in upcoming shows, but hopefully we can get Ben in here. The other thing that I want to throw out there is that if there's any retro games that you want us to play and talk about, send those to factorysealed@manatank.com, and we'll do our best to hopefully all of us get a chance to play it. That way we can talk about it and go from there. So,
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm excited for that.
any last final parting thoughts for the inaugural Factory Sealed?
Let's see.
What would you rate our first show?
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10,
1 to 10.
I think Daryl would want me to give it a 10.
Excellent. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I think we're going to try to do this every other week.
Every other week, I think it's probably going to work.
Yeah, unless people really like it and they want to hear more of us, we might consider going to weekly.
Well, we'll have to talk to you more often.
And then, I don't know who. I know I'm pretty new to Twitter and I rarely check it. But if you have any questions or anything, I know you can get a hold of Eric or Manatank on there.
Well, what's your Twitter handle? Let's pick that.
It's at Aaron Robinson.
Robinson, not Robinson.
That's
And it's Aaron,
ARON.
yeah.
1A. They're with the correct spelling.
We're gonna need to get
And then,
you. We're gonna need to get you a new
tag.
How about we go
new
with
handle?
Johnny Applebasket?
At Johnny Applebasket. That could work. It's a little long, but it could work.
Jess, where can we find you?
At Jessica Megan.
Wow, you guys are so
with no
difficult.
I. I know.
Jessica.
Whatever.
Okay.
Jessica.
And you can.
JESSCAMEGAN, which is the correct spelling of Megan.
It is. I will agree.
How
with
about if I'm going to be Johnny Applebasket, we should have her as Mrs.
you.
Mario.
Mrs. Mario, and it's got
with
a
an E instead of an A.
That's how I roll.
Mario. And all right, if you don't already know, you can find me at HonestPizza. That's going to do it for us this time. Thanks for popping in. We'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.